everybody. It's your girl, China Rain. Thank you for tuning in. Your presence is welcomed as well as appreciated. Please click like, subscribe, and share if you like the content of this channel. It has a lot to do with the algorithm, and hopefully I can build the channel. All right. So I am going to be doing a few videos on relationships over the next few weeks. And what I did was I went to Instagram and I asked my followers there what topics were hot, trending, things that they wanted to talk about. And I would say I got maybe 157 responses. And of those 157, I had over half ask me to talk about Kevin Samuels and the in one way or another, and the impact that he had on dating in the Black community. And my thought was, my God, this man has been deceased for a few years now. God rest his soul. And yet people are still having the conversation about dating and what he brought to the table as far as, representing the population that he represented. So I said, okay. Now, to be honest, I wasn't someone who was familiar with his platform. I knew that, that he obviously represented the Black male audience, and he talked a lot about high value men and things like that. But I really didn't know much about him. So I started to watch a few videos, and I went back to his earlier videos that he had done. And at that time, he was focused on reviewing cologne and recommending things. And then he moved into basically how you would approach a woman, things like that. Ultimately, he ended up branding himself as the Godfather and became kind of a relationship guru, if you will. And yeah, he had quite the delivery, and sometimes people didn't like, his tone, or like I said, in his delivery of his commentary, basically. All right, so I have my notes here, and we're going to get right into it. So as we like to say around here, therapy is in session. All right. So for my subscribers that don't know Kevin Samuels or what Kevin's platform was about, let me just start by saying that he built a platform primarily for male audiences. He had ideas about and very strict about gender roles, as well as he was a proponent for traditional families and keeping Black families in particular together at all costs. It didn't matter to him if the man was cheating, what the case was. He strongly believed that Black families needed to stay together. He was the type of person where he didn't sugarcoat things. He just was very straightforward and just told you like it was. He successfully introduced the perspective of looking at dating as somewhat of a business, meaning that he would assign a sexual market value to women. In contrast, he would, label a man as being a high value man, an average man, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at this clip. We'll insert it right here.
If you see a woman back a car into a parking space, go the other way. That's a dude. That's a dude. If she backs her car into a parking space, I don't care what she look like getting out. That's a dude.
Okay, so if I wanted a high value man, what do I do?
Be reincarnated. You can't get one. I'm gonna be honest, you can't. How tall are you?
5'9".
Dress size?
16.
You didn't choose to be single.
I'm sorry?
If you had to rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 and you can't use 7, face only, no hair extensions, your natural hair, your natural face, what would you give yourself?
Interesting. 8.
Nope.
No.
No. How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
How much do you weigh?
That's none of your business. I told you I was fat.
Oh, okay. We don't play that shit on my channel. You get your big fat ass on somewhere then. God damn! I don't deal with you big sassy ass broads.
As you can see, his delivery and his tone oftentimes would be considered rude. But that was just his style, and was very unapologetic about that. And it is what it is. People have the choice to change the channel if they didn't like what he said. But again, he had millions of viewers, so obviously people were interested in what he had to say. His target audience was basically, I like to describe it as the underrepresented and the unprotected. And I'll say that again, underrepresented and unprotected. And I would say that the black males would be underrepresented and the black females would be unprotected. And that was his target audience. And again, what he did successfully was start a dialogue within the black community about some of the issues that couples or people, dating were facing. And he ruffled some feathers in doing that. So let's check this out.
I didn't support it at all.
Okay.
I thought it was divisive. I thought it was very Eurocentric in his approach to criticism. I think his expectations for women were very superficial in terms of what was important. There was a heavy focus on how much you make and how good you look. No woman is going to look good forever.
No.
They're going to get pregnant. They're going to get older. To me, telling women that you are too fat or too small or too broke, and that's the reason why you don't have a man, that is psychopathological and it is destructive to our community. I did not agree with his approach at all. And the fact that he did have a lot of people who did speaks to how decadent and speaks to how self-hating we can be as a people. And I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of the women who supported Kevin Samuels supported him because they don't like other black women, and they enjoyed sitting back on their couch, sipping their tea, and watch this black man tear black women's self-esteems to shreds.
To be honest, what amazed me in watching several of his videos were the women that called in for advice from him. And I say that because he would subject them to a line of questioning that would ultimately lead to him giving them a sexual market value number that would be 1 to 10 and leaving 7 out. And he would ask questions like, 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? Fresh face, no makeup, no eyelashes, no fake hair. And the women would assign themselves a number. He would agree or not agree and give his thoughts on why he felt that they should be at whatever number. And then he would ask about their weight, their dress size. He would ask about, failed relationships, things of this nature. And he would assign, again, a number from 1 to 10 for them and kind of let them know where he felt that they, where they were in the sexual market value. And again, like I said, he kind of looked at it like a business. And that was always interesting to me, why a woman would, subject herself to that. But again, people have the option of changing the channel if they're not interested. And in reviewing all of this, I discovered a much larger issue that we need to talk about. And what that issue was, it just became, very clear to me is, why are we at odds with one another? And when I say we, I'm speaking specifically to black men and black women. Why is it that we are constantly at odds with one another? So much so to the point that you know, we're finding it difficult to date within our own community. And I asked that question again to my male followers specifically. Not only my followers, I asked, men that I know, I asked my brothers, I asked men in the barber shop, and I asked them just a really simple question. And that question was, what, if anything, do you find difficult about dating a black woman? And what do you think their response was? I'll wait. The overwhelming response was masculine energy. And I'll say that again, masculine energy. And so let me expand on that. I asked for examples and I wrote them down. Here are the examples. Expectations that are unobtainable. Boss bitch energy. Hard to deal with, extremely argumentative. Constant power struggle. The I don't need a man mentality. The what can you do for me that I can't do for myself attitude. The I'm educated, I have degrees. I own my own home. I make 6 figures. Can you match that? So basically what they're saying, that if a man is out in the world, working, trying to provide and protect, why would they choose a woman that they have this additional stress in their home? Why would they want to deal with that? Okay? So check this clip out here.
Mention that, like, damn, men don't shoot their shot no more. Men don't try to holler no more. Men don't speak to women no more. And y'all acting surprised like y'all don't know why. The last time I saw a man ask a woman, introduce himself in a gentlemanly way, a classy way, hello, my name is such and such. What's your name? Cash App. He said, huh? What's your name? He thought he heard it wrong. I'm sitting there looking like, I know she ain't just say what I thought she said. Y'all know me. I be ear hustling. He asked the woman, and there wasn't no 20-year-old. You would expect it from a 20-year-old. We grown folks in a grown spot. So she looked like she to be in her 30s. He asked her what's her name. Again, she says, Cash App. He's like, damn, baby, come on now, what's your name? Your name ain't no Cash App. Well, if you want to know my name, you got to Cash App me. I was like, oh, my bad. Oh, okay, like that, it's like that. Yeah, I ain't got time for no broke ass man. How you know I'm broke? What makes you think I'm broke? We can't get to know each other first before you? I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to be playing around with none of you. I'm tired of y'all. Like, oh, damn, where all that come from? We just in a night spot, dude trying to, like, damn. You don't know who dude is. It could be a millionaire. So I said, you know what? That right there, why I don't holler. I've been there with a pocket full of money. I got what they want. I ain't trying to holler. You want money? I got it. Good looking man? I think I got it. Nice, hard wood? Depending on what day it is, I got that too. Depending on, certain days, you gotta catch me right.
I said, because I get you have options. You're handsome, you're successful, you will have options forever. So it really is in your hands, your fate. So you can tell me I'm great all you want, but you're not pursuing me, and I know why. Because I require too much. And that's all right. I'm okay with that.
What do you mean by that, though? What do you mean what do you require?
I require discipline and intention. And I require a level of investment in terms of time. And it's like you can say, oh, I took her to this restaurant, I took her to that restaurant, and I'd be like, well, what's my favorite color? There's no amount of dinners that you will ever buy for me that will get my panties off. So you really need to figure out what it is that you think you have to offer and what it is that you think I value, because it's never going to happen without real investment. I can do it myself. I can pay for whatever restaurant I want to go to myself.
Yeah.
I have a nice car. I have a nice house. I have friends. I have a successful career. So I am emancipated to a certain extent because those things don't entice me. So it kind of is a what do you bring to the table that's not material. That is something that's compelling.
Man, I want to ask you something Columbus Short said since we talking about that.
Sure.
He said he got some heat for saying that black men are dating outside their race because most black women are raised by single mothers and absentee fathers and taught a don't need a man mentality. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's what I would say to my brother Columbus Short, and I'm a fan of his. Are we not all victims of the systemic oppression and injustice that racism has introduced into our community? So just as you have black women who didn't grow up with their father, you have black men who didn't grow up with their fathers or their mothers. In other words, why is it acceptable for the black man raised by a black woman without his dad to reject a black woman raised by her mother without her dad? I think sometimes black men can be guilty of a double standard where we want a perfect offering when we ourselves are not a perfect offering. And to that point, I think black men need to recognize the fact that one of the reasons we have so much conflict with black women is because we don't operate on a masculine platform with our women all the time. We tend to operate on a female platform. For example, when a woman gets angry, rather than you trying to understand your queen non-emotionally. See, you can't have both people in a relationship with a low emotional IQ. Because if both people in a home, if you and your wife both have a low emotional IQ, if you and your wife both have a low emotional IQ, y'all going to argue over everything because nobody says, I am not going to emote over this. I'm not going to deal with this with feelings. I'm going to use reason and intelligence. That's what the man is supposed to do.
Yeah.
But guess what we do? Raised by single mothers, many of us, we reflect right back to them that emotional trauma that they throwing on us. So in essence, you have two females arguing, although one is in a man's body. Black men have to start being masculine and less feminine. All this cattiness, this back and forth between black men and black women on the internet, that is feminine and feminine. Masculinity don't operate like that. Masculinity wants to understand where the woman is coming from. Masculinity wants to then intervene, study himself, evaluate his behavior, and try to level up to where she needs him to be. But arguing back and forth with women as a man, that's anti-masculine behavior. What we really need is some testosterone shots. We need more testosterone because black men are mimicking female behavior emotionally and they're not even recognizing it.
So, how did we as black women get here? Is the question that I had to ask. And honestly, the answer is much more complex than I could do in any one video. I don't think that there is any one answer. I think that, if you would be overgeneralizing if you had one answer to that, because it is so complex. You have to get into the individual and so on and so forth. But what I can do is say that I think that it has a lot to do with how you were raised, who raised you. Were you raised in a single parent home by your mother? Were you raised by your father? I feel that what was poured into you has a lot to do with it. And let me clarify that when I say what was poured into you. I think that some black women have just been raised to be independent, to stand on their own 2 feet, to not have to have a man or depend on a man to do anything for you. Also, it's almost like a badge of honor when a black woman can exhibit strength. And, I think that those are qualities that they grow up with. It's poured into them from their mothers, from their grandmothers. And I think that may have something to do with it. And again, I am not giving justifications here. I am merely giving explanations and probably, hoping to give you a deeper understanding of where that possibly comes from.
You raised your skirt and opened your knees and gave it away to a man with too much power. You're not rare, you're not special. Your story is no different than 1,000 other stories in this town, so you know how this goes. You could call this in your sleep. First they'll smile, be warm, sympathetic, on your side, letting you know that they will fight for you. They will lull you into a false sense of security. And then, once your belly is exposed, they will gut you and everyone you know. And they will be swift about it. And by the time you realize you should be fighting back, well, you're already bleeding to death. That is the presidency versus you. Whose victory do you think they will fight for? Whose body do you think they will bury?
He would never.
He would never. You and I both know that he is not in charge. He is never in charge. Power is in charge. Power got him elected. I know more than you could possibly imagine about things of which you cannot dream. He told you that you would be First Lady, and you believed him. Did I not raise you for better? How many times have I told you you have to be what? You have to be what?
Twice.
What?
Twice as good.
Twice as good as them to get half of what they have. Sleeping with that. For God's sakes, you know to aim higher. At the very least, you could have aimed for Chief of Staff, Secretary of State, First Lady. Do you have to be so mediocre?
But I'd like to know what your thoughts are. If, feel free to leave me some comments and, ask whatever questions you have, offer any advice, expertise that you have, what some of your experience are. I'm very open to hearing that. This is a very hot topic right now. It actually has been for a long time, and it looks like it's going to continue to be a hot topic as we move forward. So, well, we have unpacked a lot in our therapy session today. And please don't forget to click like and subscribe and share with other people, and, just have the conversations, with your own friends, ask your girlfriends or if you're a male watching, I'm sure you probably have had these conversations with your friends before. It's definitely a conversation worth having. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. God bless.